Nsem-Pii TV. Your mom and boss for you. I think say Obia Nsem-Pii TV.
Entrepreneurship maybe.
Nsem-Pii. Yeah, you ask good questions. I hope sir you continue with your good questions.
Be the first to know Nsem-Pii TV.
Adabraka, you're a Kwesi Pratt, and you're not the Nsem-Pii or the Atuka. Now, I know a lawyer Paul Adomochre etanasi na exclusively or the analysis na Atuka. I say Kwesi Pratt will review Nema Miensa and are 3 reasons why Bawumia ebe win 2024 election could win 2024 election. Therefore, na uti Kwesi Pratt won't say yes. Except for Tase or cancer, because it won't. Nina didn't ma lawyer part much a exclusive analysis about Kwesi Pratt and some more campaign. In your say, okay, Kwesi Pratt ni su any buying out the idea a near me no way either say or percent MPP eco opposition and now say or percent NDC a power. Then in say on one casani chocho mucho nasi. Nasi ni in-law. Ena wayama yura alan kojo chermatin na alan kojo chermatin so de ne ho nsem echenkentema e free meretintina afrafranto movement bepem ne policy kura ohun kudukura onfa kura enjim eno enkoa asem fofora edabamaso etiefo na hwe alan kojo chermatin no kire no ongongo yi a Kwesi Pratt asew na hwe a ensema Kwesi Pratt eka bibia edadi ama tiefo ye hu se owo hidden agenda bi ho na eno na say you refing say ensem wa ka se enema miensa na eno na exclusively lawyer Paul Adomochre e the analysis not to dwa ahu se Kwesi Pratt adie ase emfa by ensema o kan de ene ebebam se de se ne fata. Because over a near Yura Nana Adutan kwa Akufu Ado on Dr. Alaji Mamudu Bawumia aya omu deserves omu break 8. Now where Kwesi Pratt the 3 reasons na for was a ampa man analysis na waye nenso announce nasi acquire the vice president and I said the running mate for the Afrafranto movement into oye di obetumi bia onimpe fe so say yewra alan kwajo charmati ontumi enwini etefo yenko nenkotie Kwesi Pratt and I said lawyer Paul Adomochre oye enchichi engotimra.
The commission is receiving the nominations for political parties and parliamentary candidates is going on all over. I think it's ending tomorrow. And we know that Alhaji Muhammadu Bawumia took advantage of the first day and went to deliver his forms to the EC. Between now and then, the EC are going to be reviewing the documents and check the qualification criteria. The danger for political parties like this is that because they are not well spread across the country and don't have offices, they have to go through very painstakingly to get people who are unblemished. Now, unblemished means that the person who signs the documents for them ought not to have signed for any other political party, whether NDC or MPP. Often, that's the problem they always have, because the MPP and the NDC have offices across the country. So constituency representatives and polling station executives have the mandate to sign the form for the presidential candidate. That's very simple. But if you are Afrafranto and you don't have community representation on all the 100 and something communities across the country in the districts, then you're going to have to rely on people that you may not directly know. What happens sometimes is that when these people have signed your document for you, after you have compensated them, or when the compensation is agreed upon, it turns out that by the time your document gets to EC, some of these people are either not registered voters, their name is not on the voters roll, or they have filed for they have used their signature for another political party, maybe NDC or MPP. That's always the case. And the Electoral Commission will look at the first in time. If he signed for the MPP before he signed for you, the one he signed for the MPP will be deemed valid by the Electoral Commission, and yours will be deemed invalid. But we pray that all candidates will do a good job and get the Electoral Commission to approve their nomination documents. Alan Chermatin here, Kwesi Pratt Jr. in the middle, and then Kwame Usu is a young man who's just started. He's a barrister. He works at Pan-African TV. I'm not sure whether Kwame Usu is even a politician. I didn't know that he's a politician, but yeah, that he's a public person. I think his profile says that he's a former hip life artist, something like that. Yeah, that's also in his profile. So that's what we know about Kwame Usu. And he's married to Kwesi Pratt's first daughter, the indefatigable Pratt. And Kwame Usu and his wife, Pratt, both lead Pan-African television, where they have been doing an excellent job, I reckon. And it's Kwesi Pratt's son-in-law. And it's not just Kwesi Pratt's son-in-law. It's really Kwesi Pratt's copy. I mean, you hardly see Kwesi Pratt without seeing Kwame Usu these days. Over the last 2 years, they're always together. They are doing things together and all of that. So Alan Kyerematen could not have made this decision without Kwesi Pratt's influence in the matter. Now, why is Alan Kyerematen looking for Kwesi Pratt's influence to choose a running mate? Or why is Kwesi Pratt interested in influencing the choice that Alan Kyerematen makes for running mate? Alan Kyerematen is never going to win this election. It's never going to happen. He's not going to win this election. We've said that over and over again. And we told you that when the campaign starts, people will forget that Alan Kyerematen is the one, as an independent presidential candidate, who should have the policy ownership. That's what independence... Do you remember Dan Lartey? Those of you who are old, he told us domestication. Dan Lartey won on the policy on every election that he contested in. People knew that Dan Lartey was not going to be elected, but everybody is stuck in everybody's head that Dan Lartey represents domestication. And that was very important. What's his name? PNC presidential candidate, Dr. Edward Mahama. He also, when he ran as a for want of a better word, a fringe candidate. Let me say that. As a fringe candidate for the PNC, because they are not one of the big political parties. He always owned the national health insurance policy. Edward Mahama had been talking about national health insurance in 1996 campaign. In 2000 campaign, I personally questioned him at the CNN presidential debate held in Accra here at the conference center. I was one of the questioners, and my question to him was about policy. There again, he said national health insurance. So when John Kufuor did the national health insurance, the MPP were able to concede that this national health insurance idea is from Edward Mahama. So Edward Mahama also owned the policy conversation. Now, to be a revolutionary candidate, new candidates coming up, new things, and up till today, 2 months to the election, where is Alan Kyerematen's policy initiative? Zero. That's not great. That's not great for Alan. You may not win the election, but if you're an independent candidate, you are expected to provide the campaign with the oxygen that the main parties don't bring, which is the thorough thinking of policy. That's what independent candidates do. As for the big parties, they are big. They are going to run on slogan. The other day, the NDC were doing an umbrella challenge. They said, put your umbrella challenge. And I don't know what happened on social media. There was a contest. NDC and MP people were fighting on social media. NDC said, umbrella challenge. So they hold umbrella, they take picture. Umbrella challenge, they take picture. MPP were clever. They came back and said, policy challenge. Write your 3 top policies. So people wrote free SHS, and then quickly the umbrella challenge died away. Because, you see, young people are coming. The world is developing. Political campaigns in Africa must change. It must be about substance. And that's what the young people are demanding. So the NDC's umbrella challenge whittled away quickly. They dodged. They ran away. What are you talking about, umbrella challenge? People are looking for what is the future of Ghana. What are the political parties saying? What is this saying? When they say umbrella challenge, they take picture. But they can afford that. Big parties can afford that. But if you're a small party, you have to have a policy initiative. You have to be leading. So I don't know what the choice of Kwame Usu is going to do to the Alan tickets. But as you saw somebody write, he said that Alan is a can, blah, blah, blah. I'm quite disappointed about the way the Afro-Frantok campaign has gone. And I think it's because people that Alan Kyerematen were hoping he could rely on, he couldn't rely on them. The people he thought he would rely on, they saw that the MPP is a better haven. So they are all in the MPP. The young people, Adenta Kumi and co, who were following him, they've all left his party. They've all gone back to the MPP, as they say, after hearing Bawumia's message. So it's a very complicated situation for Mr. Kyerematen, who was, before this Afro-Frantok situation, put in the light of one of the most important politicians in Ghana, one of the politicians that people thought they could have hope in. And Alan has had the opportunity, without the baggage of a party, to put policy initiatives before the Ghanaian people. It hasn't come. Maybe it's going to come. But it's 2 months to go. And he's been at it for almost a year. 2 months to go. Nothing on policy. What is going to happen to the economy? What's going to happen on transport? What's going to happen in energy? What is Alan Kyerematen saying? Nothing. Oh, I'm so disappointed. I'm sure it's going to come. I'm sure it's going to come. I would like to err on that side. It's going to come. John Mahama has introduced, he has an event this week where he's talking about energy and he's meeting the energy people. So this is the story. So Kwesi Pratt is on the Afro-Frantok ticket. Afro-Frantok ticket is not a winning ticket. So maybe it is to facilitate or to undermine. Facilitate a party winning or to undermine another party winning. I shall not say much. Let's get on to the chairman Wuntumi story. Okay, sorry, Kwesi Pratt here. Thank you very much for this. Now, whilst we talk about the situation, Kwesi Pratt has just been quoted, and I hope it's correct because it's on social media again, but I asked a few people, they said it's correct. Kwesi Pratt has just been quoted at revealing the 3 reasons why Mahamudu Bawumia could win this election. So whilst he's on the Afrafranto tickets, which he should be, he's also thinking that Mahamudu Bawumia can win this election. What are the 3 reasons that he cites? It goes as follows. He says, as for 2024 presidential election approaches, as the 2024 presidential election approaches, Ghana's political atmosphere is heating up with the new patriotic party aiming to break the 8 but staying in power beyond their current term. Break the 8 by staying in power beyond their current term. Veteran journalist Kwesi Pratt, speaking on Pan Africa TV's morning show, outlined 3 compelling reasons why Mahamudu Bawumia could win the upcoming election if the National Democratic Congress and John Mahama don't strategize effectively. He says, 1, Bawumia is going to distance himself from Akufo-Addo's administration. Kwesi Pratt says that Mahamudu Bawumia, the NPP's presidential candidate, is actively distancing himself from the perceived failures of the Nana Akufo-Addo administration. Bawumia's message encapsulates his slogan, "Give me the steer," is designed to convince voters that his leadership will be to chart a new course, distinct from his predecessor. This strategy aims to shift public focus from the current government record to Bawumia's vision for Ghana's future. You see, Kwesi Pratt is a very clever analyst, and what he says here is true, it's correct. But when I show you the second thing he says, you will find the contradiction. But he's a very clever analyst. He said that observing what Bawumia is doing, he's presenting himself as a different candidate, a different kettle of fish. He's not an Akufo-Addo. Kamala Harris is not Joe Biden. You've been hearing those kinds of things, haven't you? That's what Kwesi Pratt says he's identifying it. But okay, hold on. This is Kwesi Pratt's first reason why Bawumia could win the election, distancing himself from Akufo-Addo. I'll show you why this is not true. Next one. Securing the future of free senior high. The continuation of the free senior high school program is a cornerstone of the NPP's campaign. The party emphasizes that this policy is under threat if the NDC wins, arguing that Mahama plans to scrap it. For many Ghanaian families, free SHS represents a critical advantage, and the NPP's portrayal of themselves as the protectors of this policy could sway voters who view it as a significant benefit. That's also correct. That's for sure. Kwesi Pratt is analyzing well. But now here's the catch. Who is free SHS? Today is 7 years old. Who is free SHS? Is Adodanko Akufo-Addo. So how then do you say that Dr. Bawumia is trying to distance himself from Akufo-Addo's record, but then free SHS is a cornerstone of the NPP's campaign? Free SHS is Akufo-Addo. Akufo-Addo is free SHS. So what's the point about I'm distancing myself from Akufo-Addo's record? Where is the Akufo-Addo's negative record that Dr. Bawumia is distancing himself from? What is happening is that there's global economic difficulty. I interviewed H.A. Sikanku last Tuesday. You heard him. Americans are thinking that the economy is too hard. That is the United States of America, the richest country in the world. Economy is too hard over there. So Akufo-Addo has failed that the global economy is hard. Well, if that's Akufo-Addo's failure, yeah, then he has failed. The Akufo-Addo in Ghana has failed because the global economic crisis is bad. So Akufo-Addo has failed. Is that how Akufo-Addo feels? How does Akufo-Addo feel? Then you come back and say that Bawumia is telling the people that he can protect free SHS. How can Bawumia protect free SHS? Because he's connected to Akufo-Addo. So his first reason doesn't stand. If that's what he said, I'm just analyzing it. Distance yourself from Akufo-Addo's record and you win. But use free SHS to win. That's a contradiction. It's a total contradiction. Because Akufo-Addo is free SHS. And the people are voting for Bawumia because they see that he is the one who is close to Akufo-Addo. And therefore, free SHS is more likely to be guaranteed under him than under his opponents. That's the reason why free SHS has become important. So if free SHS is important in the analysis, then Akufo-Addo is a centrifugal figure to the 2024 campaign. That's the point. You can't run away from that. Kwesi Pratt goes on to a third reason, and my touch screen is misbehaving. Is it going to come? Oh, what's happening? Okay, can you put it on? They can turn it on. Yeah, okay, it comes up. This is still the second. Okay, now the third reason is here. And the third reason is that the constitutional limitation on John Mahama's term. He says, the NPP is leveraging the constitutional rule that limits presidents to 2 terms, highlighting that Mahama would only be able to serve 1 more term if elected. They argue that this 4-year short-term syndrome would hinder Mohammed's ability to implement lasting reforms, positioning Bawumia as a better option for continuity and sustainable leadership. That's also true, but it's not in the way that he says it. It is true because people want leaders they can hold accountable. And the fact that you can hold the leader accountable is the reason why the leader will respond to your needs. That's the whole point. I mean, people are finding out that if you can't hold the leader accountable, he cannot respond to your needs. And that's why all of us were lined up behind Akufo-Addo, campaigning for district chief executives to be elected on political party lines. Because today the DC's accountability is to the Jubilee House in Accra. And therefore, he may not worry about your road and your gutter. He worries about how the president sees him, because that's how he can be there or that's how he can be removed. But if you had elected him, then he is responsible to you. You see that there's election here, political activity is going on. All people are coming around. People who don't campaign are campaigning. You've seen ministers, deputy ministers who are not campaigning, former ministers, former deputy ministers of NDC who are all campaigning. Now they're campaigning because they're looking for your vote. So the argument against John Mahama is that if you elect him in this election, during his tenure of his campaign, he doesn't care. If he tells you something now and he doesn't do it, there's nothing you can do. But if Bawumia tells you something and he doesn't do it, he's going to come back to ask for your vote again, and then you can tell him that you didn't do it. Because he knows that he'll come back for your vote, he's going to be a more accountable leader than the one who is not going to come back for your votes. That's the argument that is being made. So all of Kwesi Pratt's 3 points are valid, except that to suggest that Bawumia is distancing himself from Akufo-Addo, but he's going to use free SHS, I think it's a real contradiction. Okay, Ambassador, good evening. Also then, he's my uncle. He's my uncle-in-law, I should say. Now that we are talking about in-laws, he's my uncle-in-law, so he's my man. And of course, I mean, you cannot take away the fact of Kwesi Pratt's very, very giant's brain in analyzing these things. And him and I share the Cuban Revolution, the affinity to the Cuban Revolution. Fidel Castro and Raul Castro and Che Guevara have always been our heroes. Ambassador, good evening. Congratulations to the Kwesi Danso as Alan Chairman's running mates. That's for the Alan Chairman.